Hello, this is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon, which is also a supermoon in 23 degrees of Aries. And this will be exact on October 15th at 9:23 p.m. Pacific time, which is also LA time, and on October 16th at 12:23 a.m. Eastern time in the US, which is also New York time. So it's right around midnight in New York and late evening in LA. Now, this is a very extra powerful full moon, and as such, it is more intense and the energy is just stronger. And because it's a supermoon, we're feeling the emotion of the full moon more strongly for these next 2 weeks. Now, a full moon is always an opposition between the sun and the moon, and the sun is in Libra, the moon is in Aries. So we're dealing with that polarity, the Aries-Libra polarity, and it is about becoming more aware of the roles that we identify with in our various one-on-one relationships. That push and pull sometimes that we're feeling within our relationships, and the ability to, how are we being in our different relationships, right? And so this aspect is really asking us, or this full moon is asking us to take action or even to redefine those roles, and see if we're actually comfortable in the roles that we have with other people. And I will address this full moon, supermoon in more detail also in my next monthly forecasting forum, which is on October 18th. And you will get a chance to take a look at your own birth chart in relationship to the supermoon. So if that's something that's interesting to you, stay tuned. I'll talk more about that towards the end of the video as well. All right. But let's go back to this full moon. So generally speaking, a full moon will bring our attention to our emotional body, right? And so with this supermoon, it even more so, this emotional body is even more so available to us. And so this is especially true for the next 2 weeks, and we become more aware of what has been suppressed or ignored. It's just going to be more coming to the surface. We're going to be more aware of it, right? And so this particular full moon, supermoon, brings the focus to independence. Like, where do we need to be more assertive, or where do we need to feel more independent? Or possibly, where have we been where do we need to be more accommodating with other people, or where have we been feeling too dependent with other people, right? And so you really want to ask yourself, what roles or contracts need to be redefined or released at this time, or reworked in some way, right? So we're invited to take a look at the balance between the feminine and the masculine within ourselves, within our relationships, within the world that we have created for ourselves, right? So you can ask yourself, where in your life is this balance between the masculine and the feminine? Where is this not present? And what happens when there is too much masculine or too much feminine in our lives, or just also look to see the different areas of your lives, because different areas will have different ways in which we deal with, how we approach it in terms of being more masculine or more feminine with a particular area, right? So when you're at work, you might be having a different relationship between those two energies than when you're at home, or with a best friend, or with a spouse, or with a parent or a child. So there might be different ways of how we interact, right? So it's just a good idea to just kind of observe that and to see, where am I out of balance with that masculine feminine energy, right? Now, all the questions from this video are also available on my website at AstrologerCoach.com via my weekly forecasts page. So feel free to click on that and go to October 16th to that entry, and then you can see all the questions written down there. Or you can also subscribe to my weekly forecast and receive them via email every week. And then that way you will have the new moon and full moon questions always via email available as well. And you can sign up to receive that by emailing us at info@astrologercoach.com. and just write weekly forecasts in the subject line if that's of interest to you. Okay, now back to the full moon. With this particular full moon, not only do we have this Sun-Moon opposition, there's also a Sun-Mercury-Jupiter alignment in Libra, and then a Moon-Uranus alignment in Aries. So on both sides, there's more planets involved. So what does that mean? So the Sun-Mercury-Jupiter alignment in Libra is a call for exploration of loving, equal, mutual, beneficial relationships and partnerships. And I also talk about that in more detail in my video where I talk about Jupiter in Libra until 2017. So feel free to watch that as well on YouTube if you haven't seen that yet. So this alignment with Sun, Mercury, Jupiter is a really good time to resolve conflict. It's especially within our one-on-one relationships. And you want to ask yourself, what can I see now that I haven't been able to see before? How is my perspective shifting in my relationships, and what feels different now? And so that might be helpful in order to resolve certain conflicts that we might have had with other people. And then that Moon-Uranus alignment in Aries that I mentioned already, that is asking us to be brave, to be willing to take risks, to explore new alternatives, to access our courage and creativity, because it's, Aries is like very courageous sign. And this also generates lots of core energy, because with Aries, there's this impulsiveness, there's this sense of like needing to be in movement, right? And so there's enthusiasm there, and there is a sense of inspiring us to break free from conventional, outdated social structures, because it's connected to Uranus, right? And so, especially, of course, in the roles that we play in our lives, in our world, with other people. So we are supported in our connection to the sacred masculine here, because Aries is connected to Mars, to the masculine energies. And so we're feeling more assertive and more focused with that Arian energy without being domineering and destructive. Right? So all energies have higher vibrational, expressions and lower vibrational expressions, and so does the masculine and the feminine. And so we're really getting a chance to tap more fully into the higher vibrational expression of that masculine energy with this full moon. And so you want to ask yourself here with this combination, what direction am I called to take for the next 2 weeks? What direction am I called to take? And what if I accessed my inner wisdom warrior? And I think that's a great question, because, very often when we think of warrior, we think of, somebody who's aggressive and who causes pain. But there is also this inner warrior that we have that can just kind of like move us forward and cut through all the BS. So and it's guided by wisdom, it's guided by a sense of strength and understanding of who you are yourself. So what if you could access your inner wisdom warrior, right, for these next 2 weeks? And what is the first simplest step on this path that you're called to take right now? So the first simplest step. And these are all great questions to either just sit with, to meditate on, to journal on, to just allow yourself to marinate in for the next 2 weeks, right? So you don't have to answer these questions right away, right? Now Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, is currently in Capricorn. And so we want to take a look at Mars. Mars is closely aligned with Pluto in Capricorn and is squaring that Sun, Mercury, Jupiter alignment in Libra. And so what does that mean for us for the next 2 weeks? It means that we're invited to stretch and grow ourselves, to stretch ourselves and grow right now. And we might have a sense that we don't have enough in some way. We feel like we need maybe more experience or more knowledge or more expertise or more success or anything like that. And so it's difficult knowing when we actually might be enough, right? So questions you can ask yourself here are, What if I were inherently already and always enough? And would that knowledge allow me to step off the merry-go-round? Right? Like very often we're on this hamster wheel or merry-go-round, whatever image resonates most with you. And we just feel like we're going round and round and round and round, and it just feels overwhelming even sometimes, right? So as best as you can, connect your desire for more accomplishments and success to your quest for truthful yet harmonious partnerships. And that's also the partnership with yourself is included in that, right? Partnerships with others, but also partnership with yourself. Because if you don't have a good partnership with yourself, then it's difficult to have good partnerships with other people, right? So seek a balanced way of life, right? Really allow yourself to see where is my balancing point, right? Which we talked about a little bit already in the new moon video 2 weeks ago, right? Now, another component with that Jupiter placement is humor. Humor is also a really great way to connect with these energies and to allow ourselves to kind of like feel a little bit more loose and light around all of this. So how could you use humor to support your desires and relationships? How would that support you? How would that work? Now, if we feel the need to connect to something, we will feel it passionately because Mars is conjunct Pluto, right? So especially when it comes to our long-term goals or a public image, we're definitely going to feel this sense of like it needs to be authentic, it needs to be truthful, it needs to be feeling really strong and meaningful for us. And we may also feel a little bit impatient or even obsessive right now when it comes to our career goals. But just remember that this impatience and obsessiveness, that comes from a sense of not enough, or it comes from a sense of fear. So as best as you can, allow yourself to keep your heart open. And, if suppressed desires are surfacing right now, if they're coming up and you're feeling what that's about, then just allow yourself to take action on that, but in a way where you're feeling empowered, not in a way where you're feeling disempowered, right? And if you do feel disempowered when something shows up, then just allow yourself to be with that for a moment without needing to do anything, right? Because then that allows you to transform it into something new, into something that you can actually take action on that feels more empowering, right? So as best as you can, connect to others, empower them through your passion. As best as you can, choose your words carefully. We have a Mars-Mercury square, so there's maybe some impulsiveness that's possible with our communication. So come from a deeply connected and empowered place when you speak, if possible. Really allow yourself to see, to feel into like what feels empowering and how can you use your words to reflect that to yourself and to others. And then, of course, whenever there's Pluto involved, choose love over fear whenever possible. Remember what Steve Covey said in one of his books, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Because when we can allow ourselves to really fully understand another person, there is a whole other way of communicating and of moving with our relationships when we can do that. And it's important sometimes to also go beyond the words, to look what's underneath what's being said. Because when we seek to understand another person, it's more than just what they're saying. It's also like what's behind what they're saying. What is the feeling component underneath that? And so that's something that we can explore as well with this Pluto, Mars, squaring all this stuff in Libra planets, right? Now, questions here you can ask yourself is, could you let go of wanting to control another person's experience? And could you allow yourself to have productive discussions rather than controversy? And what might complete honesty and transparency make possible? Because sometimes, we feel like we have to hide things, or we cannot completely tell the truth because that might mean that another person might take advantage of us. But just remember that all that is fear-based. And when you're actually believing that you're okay all the time and that the other person is okay, and there's no need to really slight each other in some way, then you can start to open up and you can be completely honest and transparent about anything that you're doing or saying, right? So it's a great question. What might complete honesty and transparency make possible? And what does mutual empowerment look like to you, right? Mutual empowerment. What does that mean? And that's a really great question too. Now let's take a look at Venus, because Venus is also part of this full moon because it rules Libra, right? And so it's currently in Scorpio, making a trine to Chiron in Pisces. And what does that mean? So basically, Venus is always connected to our inner feminine, to our ability to receive and to connect and to value things. And so our inner feminine is asked to reclaim its power through deep connection, authenticity, and inclusivity. And so we're really learning with this combination to connect with other people and ourselves in a very authentic, deep way. And we're asked to embrace the power of love that comes from allowing ourselves to be human and accepting our limitations. And this is what the connection to Chiron is all about, right? And so it's really about loving ourselves because of that rather than despite of it, right? And so, we all have our sensitivities. We all have our limitations in some ways, or our insecurities, or things where we feel like we're not perfect, or not at the level where we want to be or where we should be. But those places, they hold a lot of juice and a lot of gold for us, because when we really allow ourselves to be that, because it is what it is, not trying to fix it, not trying to change it, but just embracing it, there's usually a sense of love and compassion for ourselves and for other people that comes through. And being capable of compassion as a human being is extremely important. That is really a big part of our journeys, to learn to be compassionate towards ourselves and others. And it can change how we move with life, how we move with ourselves, how we interact with other people. And so this combination with Chiron being in the pot here is supporting us with healing and integrating shadows and insecurities around the feminine. Anything connected to the feminine that has been suppressed, or that has been denied, or that has been, where we haven't really allowed ourselves to really get in touch with that part of ourselves. We're now able to integrate that, or we're getting a chance to integrate it and to love it and to embrace it. And so this is definitely a favorable time for practicing forgiveness towards ourselves, others. And so the questions you can ask yourself here is, what if there was nothing to forgive? And if everything were already forgiven? What if everything were already forgiven? I think that's a great question. And just kind of sit with that and allow yourself to be with that question. And so as best as you can, keep your attention on heart-centered energy and on quality and depth of your relationships rather than quantity. Because Venus in Scorpio really invites us to go deeper and to connect to that quality of connection. And so we're really invited to deeply appreciate the power of the feminine and of partnership with the earth and with all of life, and to really allow ourselves to feel that strong connection and to feel the feelings that we're having about all of it, right? And to just understand that feelings are neither good nor bad, that they are just an energy that's allowing us to see what's coming up currently and where we're at currently. And so a question you can ask yourself is, what are you able to feel when you tune into all the life around you? Everything, nature, people, your own environment that you're in, whether that's at home or at work. What are you able to feel when you tune into all that's around you? And just allow yourself to observe that and feel into that. Now, the biggest message of this full moon is the healthy relationship with our own inner feminine and masculine energies, of course. And so a great question there could also be, what if you already knew how to experience this balance fully and completely? What if that's not something you have to figure out with your head, but what if that's something that's already inherently a part of you on an emotional level and on a physical level, that you already know how to experience that? I think that's a great question. And then a final thought, the quest for more that I mentioned earlier, that can really drain us and keep us dissatisfied. And so I've put together a bunch of questions that might be helpful with that. And as many of you know, I use the Sedona method in my coaching with my clients. So these questions that I've put together for the end of this video are Sedona method inspired questions, right? So something to just kind of ask yourself or be with, what's actually here now? Especially if you're feeling the sense of, it's not enough, or there needs to be more, or, just actually get present in the here and now and just ask yourself, what's actually here now? And just for this moment, could I let that be enough? And might it be possible that I am already everything that I need to be, and that I know everything I need to know just for this now moment? Is that possible? And then just take a deep breath after you've asked yourself these questions and allow yourself to just open up inside, just feel this opening that's happening inside of you, and just kind of see the irony and the paradox of life, how everything is kind of like, everything coexists with each other. There is everything under the stars exists and tries to collaborate and interact with each other. And once you can see this irony and this paradox, and once you can feel this opening around it and this okayness around all of that, just go forth and conquer. Do what deeply calls to you. Just allow yourself to really move with what you feel most connected with, without fear. Just allow yourself to step into it, right? Now, if you have an ascendant or any personal planets in 21 to 25 degrees of Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer, you're definitely going to feel this full moon, supermoon more strongly. But even if you have personal planets, if you don't have personal planets in those degrees and signs, the house placements in your natal chart affected by this full moon is equally as important. So take a look at your birth chart if you have it, and just look to see where does 23 degrees of Aries, Libra fall in your birth chart, and just look to see what these house placements represent. What is the meaning of those houses? What areas of your life do they represent, and how can you balance or integrate those areas of your life? And if you don't have a birth chart, or if you don't know how to look that up, what I just talked about, feel free to watch my video on how to read your birth chart. And also, that's a really great video to watch right before you join our monthly forecasting forum, which is also a place where we will be talking in more detail about, how to look that up in your birth chart. But before I talk about the monthly forecasting forum, let me just say, if you want to receive this video, how to read your birth chart, email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write recording in the subject line. And then my assistant will email you that video with some handouts that come with this class. Now, the monthly forecasting forum, let me talk a little bit about that. It's really the next best thing to getting a one-on-one reading with me. It's only $24 to join for a 90-minute webinar. And what we will do is, the reason why it's so valuable is because we will use your birth charts and we will apply them actively to the upcoming energies, or we will apply whatever upcoming energies are to your birth chart. And so you can see for yourself how certain things are impacting you personally by looking at your own chart and seeing where that's landing. And just remember, we will talk about the supermoon, full moon in Aries. We'll talk about Mars conjuncting Pluto and squaring Uranus in mid to late October. And we'll also talk about the Neptune station that's coming up in November. So especially for those of you who have Pisces sun sign or Pisces rising sign, that might be a fantastic one for you to connect with. So if you want to join us live, the next forum is on Tuesday, October 18th at 6 p.m. New York time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and 11 p.m. London time. If you live in a different time zone, feel free to just convert that for yourself. You can also sign up if you can't join live, you can sign up to receive an MP4 video recording within 24 hours of the live event. That's possible too. And again, besides getting one-on-one readings with me, this is really a really great way of being supported with the upcoming energies. It's only $24 for the 90 minutes. And you can register right now on my website, AstrologerCoach.com. Just click below the link, click on the link below the Saturn in Sagittarius video. And when you get to that page, to the monthly forecasting forum page, please also fill out my registration form on that page, as well as making your payment, so that I know whether you'll be joining live or whether you'll be watching the recording. And you can also ask questions in advance, and those are really valuable because, especially if you're not joining live, you can ask a question that I will answer during the webinar, and then you can get your answers even if you watch it as a recording. All right, so all that is available. Again, all the questions from this video are also available on my website at astrologercoach.com via my weekly forecasts. So just go to October 16th entry on the weekly forecasts page. And if you want to receive them via email, those weekly forecasts, then just email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write weekly forecasts in the subject line. And my assistant will add you to that mailing list. If you prefer not to get emails every week, but you want to be in touch with me and just, hear about my videos, special offers, or announcements that I'm making about anything connecting to my courses or my business, then feel free to sign up for the newsletter, which I send out approximately every 2 weeks, so twice a month. If you want to receive that, just email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter in the subject line. And of course, you can always receive both as well. Just you don't have to send us 2 separate emails. You can just write weekly forecasts and newsletter in the subject line if you want to receive both. All right. So have a fantastic full moon, super moon. Remember, it's an emotional time. It's an extroverted time. Allow yourself to feel whatever is coming up. Honor your feelings during these next 2 weeks, because feelings want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be honored. And as we do that, as we allow our feelings to just be there, they will move through and out. So we're not going to get stuck with a feeling ever. We're just going to have to honor it and let it be there. So have a good one. If you have any general questions for me for this full moon, feel free to email me at Sonja@astrologercoach.com. I'm happy to answer general questions. If it's anything personal that requires of me to pull up your chart, feel free to either ask for a reading or join the monthly forecasting forum. Both ways, I'm able to more fully answer personal questions. All right. So have a good one. And anything that you need is on my website at astrologercoach.com. All right. Goodbye. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis.